Welcome back to Orange Hat, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So it's episode 16 of the weekly recap, and I'm going to be covering some news that is somewhat insane, but also somewhat important. And before I do get started, I want to thank everybody who has been helping get my watch time up. This stuff is very important. I believe that you have all been invaluable with my channel's progress. And I am very I I am very thankful and humbled. Also, if you do want to support my channel, if you are new to this channel, feel free to hit the or like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know what you think in my videos. The comment section allows differing opinions as long as they are kept respectful. If you are new to the channel, please share out the content, share my videos, help spread the videos out, like the videos they get so that you can stay up to date with them. Make sure that when you sub to my channel, you click the bell icon and choose all notifications so that you are notified whenever I go live. My main schedule is Sundays at 8 p.m., Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m., Wednesdays twice a month, 8 p.m. on my friend Mara's channel, Tuesday night at 9 p.m. on my friend Society Reviews channel. Thursday twice a month is the Thursday singles with Mara on my channel at 8 p.m. Friday night is the shit show on Janet from Another Planet's channel. However, it's called Orange Hat Uncensored on my channel at 10:10 p.m. And other than that, that is all the things I go for. Sometimes I go on other people's streams. Sometimes I may even do an impromptu stream. Also, for those who celebrate the Feast of St. Patrick, happy St. Patrick's Day. To those who celebrate the more unorthodox version of St. Patrick's Day, happy St. Patty's Day. So yeah, let's get into this. We got a couple of or a few stories to get into. The first one is Jake Lloyd, as many people know from as Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. His mother has decided to speak out on his mental health. But I did notice that there are comments. I am sorry for that. Let me actually get to those before we do get started. Jeez, I'm just off a bit today. Howdy do, Neozoic, and fun question. How would I rank from weakest to the best of the real Star Wars sequels? The Thrawn trilogy, Dark Empire comics, New Jedi Order series, Legacy. Legacy of the Force is the best. The Thrawn trilogy is also very good. I have paid attention to a lot of different elements of the EU. I am not a Star Wars centric channel, which I do know of others who are, but I do enjoy Star Wars privately now. There are times where I might talk about Star Wars and whatnot. However, I am more private about it because, well, there have been those people who have kind of become pieces of shit. And yes, they are on YouTube. They tend to attack people in their own community for daring to have a different of opinion. Their egos have gone wild. Not going to name names. It's not important. However, Dark Empire was, I do believe, the time where Palpatine was actually coming back. I never really supported Palpatine's return in the EU, so I definitely didn't when it came to the Disney stuff. I have spoken out against a lot of the stuff that Disney has done, and I still do. As far as I am concerned, Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars is the true canon of what happened in between episodes 2 and 3. There is no such character as Ahsoka Tano, in my opinion. I know that there are a lot of people who like Ahsoka Tano. I am not one of them. I believe that if she ever was a character, she should have died in Order 66, or possibly even died when she fought against General Grievous. Because if a Padawan can beat Grievous, why did it take so much for Obi-Wan Kenobi to defeat him? Explain that to me. So when it comes to the Thrawn trilogy, that was one of the best sequences in Star Wars novels that was ever written. Legacy of the Force series with Darth Caedus was also well written, as were the Republic Commando books, which are my favorite series as well. It's actually my favorite series. The Republic Commando series, as well as the Legacy of the Force with Karen Traviss doing the Mandalorian lore, top tier stuff there. Never really got into the Legacy comics. I'm not a comic person. I don't go out and buy comic books. To me, that's a waste of money. The new Jedi Order series, the battle or the Yuzong Vong, it was a shock to Star Wars fans. I enjoyed that series. I have read that series. I don't enjoy it as much as the Legacy series, though. While the new Jedi Order series is good, I still like the Legacy series better. How to do Geek Detective Pierce? I hope that answers your question, Yazoic. The writing of the character Ahsoka was decent for a female character, in my opinion, but there are others who are better. The problem is they had somebody who stood toe-to-toe with some of the biggest bads in the universe when she was just a Padawan. And I'm sorry, but Ahsoka Tano is a Mary Sue. There's no way that she, as a fresh-off-the-boots Padawan, could stand up to somebody like Asajj Ventress, or Magna Guards, for that matter, that were trained by General Grievous. Nor could she stand up against General Grievous, yet somehow she managed to, when she was barely trained as a Jedi. Sorry, not buying it. When General Grievous has killed seasoned knights and masters, yeah. How is he failing against Ahsoka? But hey, to each their own, man. So now, getting into the meat of the story, I am going to go over to the window that this is up at. Mother of Anakin Skywalker actor Jake Lloyd confirms mental health issues, not fan backlash, led to his exit from Hollywood. It didn't have anything to do with Star Wars. So let's get into this. This is from Bounding into Comics, so shout out to you guys. Spencer, shout out to Spencer Backley. In finally putting to bed one of the largest misconceptions that continues to haunt both the franchise and the actor himself, the mother of Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace, star Jake Lloyd, has confirmed that her son's exit from acting was prompted not by fan bullying, but rather a genetically predisposed battle with mental illness. So read nearly any article, blog, or forum post discussing Lloyd's short acting career from the last 10 years, and odds are that either the piece itself or one of its reader comments will inevitably raise the claim that the actor chose to leave Hollywood due to fan backlash he faced thanks to his portrayal of young Anakin Skywalker. Me, I never had a problem with the kid's acting. I never had a problem with that, or his portrayal as Anakin Skywalker. He played he was a 9-year-old kid playing a 9-year-old kid. I thought that he actually did very good. He had a hard time saying the word Coruscant, so they ended up cutting that out of his dialogue, but yeah. The narrative gained even further traction when in 2012, Lloyd revealed that his starring as the young Jedi turned Sith turned Jedi again had led him to being bullied by his elementary school classmates, as some fans proceeded to presume that if his negative backlash contributed to his decision to quit acting, all negative sentiment towards his performance was to blame. However, according to his mother, it was Lloyd's struggles with both previously undiagnosed paranoid schizophrenia and deteriorating home life situation, not Star Wars fans, that led to his exit from the silver screen. So, yes, it must be very hard for his mother to come out and discuss this. because it means essentially that you are shining a light on your child's uh, most negative aspects that he is struggling with. And that's only going to shine a spotlight back on him again. Speaking with Scripps News, Clayton Sandel on March 11th, Lisa asserted, I protected him from the backlash. He was just riding his bike outside, playing with his friends. He didn't know. He didn't care. Everybody makes such a big deal about that. And it's rather annoying to me because Jake was a little kid when that came out. And he didn't really feel all that stuff because I didn't let him online. People say he quit because of Star Wars, she continued. Well, that's just not true. I didn't have anything, or it didn't have anything to do with Star Wars. It had more to do with our family. And we were going through a divorce, Lisa explained. Things were unsettled and kind of rough, and Jake didn't seem to be having a lot of fun auditioning anymore. At that age, yeah, your parents' problems become your problems. When you are in a broken family, folks, I come from a broken family. My parents split when I was 2, but we were constantly fought over by our parents, or by my parents. So yes, I can attest, or I can somewhat relate to this kid. To this end, Lisa noted that while Jake still considers himself an overall fan of the franchise, and Ahsoka in particular, he loves all the new Star Wars stuff. People think Jake hates Star Wars. He loves it. It's still unlikely, though not impossible, that the Jingle All the Way star will ever choose to make a return trip to the galaxy far, far away. Jake loved filming Star Wars, Lisa affirmed. He had so much fun. I would love for him to get well enough to be able to do a little bit of something, and I'm sure he would maybe like to do that. He could, or he couldn't at this point, but you never know how much he's going to improve, so we'll see. Drawing her time with Sandal to a close on an optimistic note, Lisa ultimately declared, we are in a lot better place, and we do have a lot of things to look forward to. We all love Jake, and we want to be around him, she added. And I just want him to be happy. And that's what all kids or all mothers really want for their sons. As for me, I do pray for Jake Lloyd and his mental health. I think that it is important to understand that this kid went through stuff, folks. He went through stuff, and honestly, no kid should have to go through that. There are a lot of ugly people online. And it's because of those ugly people that other people, not necessarily Jake Lloyd, but other people end up doing a lot of, or going to dark places. As for him, or as for people hoping that he would go back to Star Wars, me personally, as much as I had no problem with him acting, if he is having any problems mentally or with mental health, I really, or given how divided the fan base is, I would be cautious if it meant, or if I was his mother, I would be cautious. And I would let him know there are some very despicable people out there. Some of them in our own community are very despicable. But yes, there are also others who are despicable as well. In all the other Disney Star Wars fans, if you step out of line in any shape, way, or form, they would ostracize you. They would tell people that they don't like to go delete themselves. I don't want that kind of exposure to Jake Lloyd. Given how toxic, and I hate using that word, but it is true, given how toxic the fandom has become on all sides, I really hope that he is in a better place in which he can handle any sort of backlash that is presented to him if he were to come back. Because believe me, it would be a lot worse than just being a kid and hearing it, you know? Anyway, let's get over to what they or what the chat's been saying. He did a good job as a kid. I agree. Yep. Honestly, I don't, or I hope he gets the help he needs. I'm hoping he gets the help he needs too. And his mom is doing what she can to help him. Exactly. And it's okay, Vanya. That's what the replay's for, Bob. But thank you for staying in. Howdy, Vanya. And yes, hoping for the best for Jake Lloyd. Now, the next one, folks, is a little bit political, but it is mainly Hollywood stuff. It has to do with Robert De Niro and his delusional psychosis. Robert De Niro is unwell, and this belief that he has. And how do you do, Nerdy Ogre? Good to see you. Howdy, howdy. So this belief that Robert De Niro has, in which Donald Trump is going to kill him or something like that, or come after him because of a dictatorship, is absolutely ridiculous. But let's get into this article. This is from Josh Berger at Bounding into Comics, so shout out to them again. Robert De Niro clutches pearls over another possible Trump presidency. Says he'll come looking for me because that's what happened in that kind of dictatorship. I don't think Robert De Niro was even a blip on Trump's radar screen. I don't think that Robert De Niro and Hollywood have any sort of importance to Donald Trump at all. But let's get into it, shall we? Robert De Niro is one of the many celebrities who constantly prove that Donald Trump lives rent-free in their heads. In what could be perceived as a desperate effort to remain relevant, it appears all the Hollywood actor does these days is air his grievances about the former president, a person that is no longer in the White House right now, as of the time of this stream. Hopefully will be returning, though. During an appearance on Bill Maher's eponymously named Real Time with Bill Maher show, De Niro weighed in on the upcoming presidential election, attempting to persuade Maher's relatively impressionable audience to re-elect Joe Biden. The bottom line is it's Biden versus Trump, prefaced De Niro, adding, do we want to live in a world that we want to enjoy living in or live in a nightmare? Vote for Trump and you'll get the nightmare. Vote for Biden and we'll get back to normalcy. As Maher's audience euphorically seal-clapped in response to the actor's non-argument. If you ask me, folks, we've been living in a 4-year nightmare. Ever since the year 2020 showed that there was some weirdness going on in the election. And under the Biden administration, we have seen our country's economy and infrastructure collapse to such devastating degree that we have become a laughingstock of the entire world. We are tossing blank checks to countries that are warmongering countries. We have a president that is unwell with dementia and is unable to continue performing in office without having some sort of slip or gaffe or some sort of mental hiccup. And he continues to prove it every day. He also proves to be absolutely anti-United States and proves to be all the time 100% for everyone but the United States. So let's continue. When Maher asked the actor about his opinion on Trump emerging victorious in the New York Times recent poll, noting the 45th president was winning way more among women, De Niro replied with a non-answer. I don't know, the actor admitted, as he proceeded to presumably inadvertently avoid the talk show host's question. I just don't want to feel the way I did, and many of us don't. After the election in 2016, where we couldn't believe that it happened. Well, that's because you all are stuck on your high horses, living in your ivory towers, and living a life that other people only dream of, but no longer because Donald Trump exposed you for the disgusting individuals that you are. As if completely devoid of compelling argument to back his incessant besmirching of Trump's name, De Niro then declared, "This guy is a total monster, and anybody I don't understand, I guess they get behind that kind of logic. They don't want to F or they want to F with people. Screw them because they're unhappy about something." Yeah, we're unhappy about Washington and its abuse of the American people and how they basically are wiping their ass with our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. Trump is such a mean, nasty, hateful person, he went on, stating, "I'd never play him as an actor because I can't see any good in him. I've seen a lot of good in the man. Nothing at all. Nothing redeemable in him." Well, that's your opinion. Continuing his nonsensical rant, De Niro then implied that Trump will be a dictator if he wins the upcoming presidential election. If he wins the election, you won't be on the show anymore, and he'll come looking for me. There'll be things that happen that none of us can imagine. Really? Uh, that's what happens in a dictatorship, or in that kind of a dictatorship. The actor basically accused only one other, or only to later say, Trump is a sociopathic, psychopathic, malignant narcissist. As as mayor's audience once again seal clapped in support of De Niro's delusional claims. Let's see here. Okay, I'm still on screen. More recently, the unbearable actor made an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel's talk show, wherein he specifically asked to give the people his thoughts on the former president. Yeah, because that's all he's good for. After Kimmel showed him some social media posts that Trump made in the past about De Niro. "He's so effing stupid," the actor said of Trump, as Kimmel's audience mindlessly cheered him on. I mean, look at the lame, inane, I'm guessing probably insane, things that he said. He's so stupid. He can't even say anything clever. He's an effing moron. But he's a scary one. He continued, "In all seriousness, and we know it here, people have got to get out and vote and vote and vote and vote and vote." Jesus, man, did he have a seizure and become a broken record? When Kimmel asked De Niro if he believes that the reason people support Trump, the actor said he was dumbfounded and baffled by the support the former president gets, basically proposing that the presidential candidate doesn't care about his voters. It's all an act in a certain way. It's all about it, or it's all out of insecurity. He's deeply, deeply insecure. And he is a malignant narcissist. He is a sociopsychopath. He's created some new language as far as describing somebody in his mental condition. It's so frightening and scary, and he's dangerous. We've got to get rid of him. Well, it sounds to me that De Niro himself is scared. Of what? I have no idea, because honestly, the idea of Donald Trump actually becoming a dictator, I'm sorry, it reeks of hypocrisy. Now, folks, I am going to get a little bit political here, but only because it is necessary. Donald Trump, from what I understood and from what I have observed under his presidency, Donald Trump brought this country greater infrastructure. We became energy independent. We were not in any new wars. He achieved peace in the Middle East. He actually, Putin didn't invade Ukraine under Trump because Putin didn't like or found Trump to be unpredictable. He didn't know what he would do. He thought Trump was crazy enough that he didn't want to test what he would do. But he also got prices of food down, gas down, we were doing well as a nation. And then Biden comes in, and also under Obama and even Bush, Putin was always bullying Ukraine. The second that Joe Biden took office, Ukraine was invaded. And when it came to Donald Trump running for president, they made up all these lies. Then January 6th insanity happened, and they made up even more lies. They hid the truth. They held people without due process. They are political prisoners. And now they are doing everything they can to try to stop Trump from being able to run, because they know that he will win. The only reason why Joe Biden won was because of mean tweets and the lies. And not only that, but the protection from the media. The media protected Joe Biden, who is a known actual racist, who hates black people to the point where he proposed bills back in the 90s that were very devastating to black people. How they would be arrested for marijuana, have to deal with more bigotry and hatred. Hell, he's even called black people the N-word in freaking Senate hearings. He didn't want his kids to live in a certain part of the city because it was a racial jungle. He said on Charlemagne the God's podcast, if you're having a hard time deciding whether to vote for me or Trump or Mayor Trump, then you ain't black. Yeah. Then he's falling upstairs, or tripping over things here and there, falling off his bike, slurring his words, getting lost, shaking hands with ghosts, talking to ghosts, mixing up the names of world leaders, saying that he talked to somebody who has been dead for years. These are all verifiable things. What has Trump done? Oh, well, he improved our economy. He said things that people with thin skin can't handle, mean tweets. And he pushed he made sure that he made our military know that he cared about them. He attended their graduation ceremony, shook hands with them. He was very polite with them. Where what has Joe Biden done? Clap, you stupid bastards. Said that to our military. He thinks our military are stupid bastards. He got 13 Marines killed. Checked his watch as their dead bodies were being walked past him. Fell asleep while they were walking past him. He apologized for referring to a criminal rapist and murderer as an illegal alien, raped or tried to rape, and because he couldn't, ended up brutally murdering a young lady recently. Her name was Laken Riley. And Joe Biden apologized for calling him illegal. Apologized for referring to him in a very true statement. And yet, before he did that, he smiled. He was smiling. Joe Biden has continued to use our tax money against us and send it overseas to Ukraine when Ukraine basically said or admitted that the point was to extort countries for their money. It's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. We need more. We need more. And Joe Biden, like the idiot he is, kept on giving them more. Joe Biden has left our border open, wide open, in which actual terrorists have come through our border. One person who speaks in terrorist tongue, you will know my name, and God will smile upon me, and you all will know my name. Don't worry. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry about that, folks. My camera seems to be a pain in the ass at times, and it needs a genuine reminder that I'm supposed to be on screen. So, yeah, what is Joe Biden has done so many evil things in our or to our country, and yet people are still willing to vote for him because mean tweets. Robert De Niro is so scared of that Trump is going to be a dictator. They said that Trump was going to be a dictator back in 2016 or after he won the election. They said he was going to be a dictator all throughout his entire presidential administration from 2017 to 2020. And yet, when it came time for him to leave the White House, he did peacefully. And everybody's like, well, he tried to overthrow the government. He tried to claim that it wasn't a fair election and whatnot. He tried to stop the election. No, he didn't. He tried to overturn the election, yes, because that is his legal right. Apparently, people have never heard of this right because it hasn't really been enacted before. It is the right of a outgoing president to ensure that the election was done fairly. And he had reason to believe that it wasn't. So he challenged the election. That is his right. But yet he still relented and left and allowed Joe Biden to take over. Joe Biden, who did a very Nazi-ish speech calling MAGA Republicans extremists and how they need to be taken care of. Yeah. But hey, that just goes to show you the absolute retardation of it seems that, or I don't know if the chat has gone or stopped, but yeah. Let's get to the chat here. Yeah, you can't talk about Hollywood without getting political. Or actually you can. I've done so many times, but I do understand what you're saying, Nerdy Ogre. Somebody say something in the chat to let me know that the chat's still running right. Robert De Niro is an example of why nobody respects Hollywood nowadays. Exactly. Most of them getting older and dumber and more mature. I've seen it. Oh yeah, I have too. We all know it. We all know what's happening. I always find it ironic that these washed-up actors and actresses take America and life for granted. Brings an important question. If you dislike being American so much, why are you breathing then? Honestly, I would ask a different question. If you dislike America so much, why are you here? If you hate this country so much, leave. Go somewhere else. Why would Papa Don go after De Niro? He has no reason. He has no reason. Well, Hollywood proves to be a cesspool of lunacy. The only one. Yeah, or somebody put something in the comment section, please, because it seems that I can't access the chat, or the chat is, I don't know. Let me check. Well, I also got 2 emails. Let me know that are okay now live, and yeah. Alrighty, so let me check to see if the chat's still working on my thingy here. Let's see here. And oh, it seems okay. Still here. Okay, good. Oh no, it's not connection issues. It's just that the chat went extremely quiet. So I thought, well, it may have. Well, yeah. The only way Biden won was by cheating. Yeah. And the wonderful thing is, Trump can actually now claim that legally and not be penalized for it. So moving on to our next. Oh my God, I forgot to change the banner to this.
Yeah. But moving on to our next one, Red Sonja, Matilda Lutz pulls a Rachel Zegler. And what I mean by this, folks, is that she has attacked source material. So, Red Sonja star Matilda Lutz slams source material for being made with a very male gaze orientation. Says new film is very woman empowered. According to its star, Matilda Lutz, the upcoming Red Sonja film will be seeking to abandon the male gaze orientation of the heroine's previous and original adventures in favor of a narrative that is overall very woman empowered, as if Red Sonja was never woman empowered. Lutz, whose audiences may best know her for starring in roles of 2017's Revenge and 2021's Zone 414, never heard of those, offered this insight into the chainmail bikini-clad warrior's next climactic outing while speaking to CBR's Tessa Smith ahead of the South by Southwest premiere of her new film, Magpie. Never heard of that either. I know of the bird. Pressed by Smith for any and all information she could tease about the film, the actress asserted, "So, what I could tell you about Red Sonja is that the first ones and the comics were made with very male gaze orientation, and very evidently so." She's channeling her inner Zegler. "This is a completely different story, and it's very woman empowered, which I love about the script. What's wrong with a woman being empowered by her femininity and her body? Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. I mean, honestly, what is wrong with this, folks? Put in the chat if you have a problem with the chainmail bikini. How is that a bad thing? Unfortunately for fans, the crimson-haired heroine, this is not the first time that this next Red Sonja has thrown up such red flags regarding its narrative direction. Speaking to Variety in honor of being ranked 5th in the 2023 entry of their annual 10 screenwriters to watch list, the film scribe, The Witcher Blood Origin writer Tasha Hull teased that the Red Sonja would provide audiences with both stories of great female friendship as well as a glimpse into how women uniquely survive out in the world. How do they uniquely survive out in the world? And great female friendship, okay. So she's going to have some female friends. That's fine. Nobody says she can't. Interestingly, despite the feminist bent to its story, Red Sonja producer Les Weldon told Collider that the film is also a little bit of a, I don't want to say a darker take, but a little bit darker than you would expect, certainly compared to the original Red Sonja. However, despite the film's offering such a little bit of darker take, its director, MJ Bassett, has confirmed that it will abandon perhaps one of the most harrowing elements of the 1985 silver screen adventure, her sexual assault by a gang of bandits. "I have no interest in fictional women who use that as an engine of motivation," the director told Hollywood Reporter Scott Johnson in January 2023. "It's not a strong motivation. Actually, it's a very strong motivation. Anger, hatred, vengeance are very strong motivators, especially if a person is willful enough. But hey, what do I know? She's just a human being in the world of femininity." Further, though, details as to Red Sonja's exact plot currently remains under wraps, according to a summation of Bassett's words provided by Johnson. The film will be an allegory for more existential questions around the survival of the species in the face of climate change. So we are taking a comic book character whose story is basically back in the days of dragons and medieval knights and sword barbarians and whatnot, talking about climate change, talking about gender inequality and shit. Are you serious right now? Directed by Bassett, whose filmography includes both Solomon Kane and Silent Hill, Revelation starring Lutz as Revelations, and starring Lutz as the titular heroine, and the Umbrella Academy actor Robert Sheehan as her nemesis Dragon, the Magnificent. Red Sonja is currently set to slice its way across the battlefield sometime in 2024. So, yeah, she basically slams the source material, basically saying, "Oh, it's too male gazy. It's too meant for the males to watch and look at and stare at and gaze and ogle." If you do census like Elizabeth Banks did, as well as other directors and stuff, you will find that the majority of people who go to watch movies are male. When you cater to the greater number of people, you make the more money. If you are catering to the lower common denominator, the lowest denominator, you're going to make less money. So, I'm sorry, folks. I'm trying, me personally, to understand where is the wisdom in where's the wisdom in trying to figure out, or in trying to appeal to the lowest denominator. You see, I'm not understanding why I would want to make less money if my business was to make money. I'd want to appeal to all the people, as many people as possible, not the 1,220 people who are complaining about sexual orientation not being representation. How about representation through investigation? Representation through merit of ideas. That was actually a wonderful thing back then. Shows like, or movies like Underworld, Aliens, Alien, Terminator, and, well, Red Sonja, and many other characters throughout the years, including those in the movie A League of Their Own. Yeah. All strong female characters that everybody liked. Even back in 2019, there was this one. Her name was Alita. She was a battle angel. She kicked ass. No one had a problem with it. Wonder why. But let's get to the chat here before we get on to our next one. Red Sonja movie is now dead on arrival. Yep, most likely. Shake my head. So another wannabe pretends to know how men and past women think. Why am I not surprised? Always assuming to speak for others. Yep. Nothing wrong with a chainmail bikini. Yeah, I have no problem with it. I mean, it's not exactly practical. I will say that, being objective, it's not exactly a practical thing, but it does distract the men who she's fighting enough to give her an edge. You know? I'm surprised that they're not having an African American play Red Sonja. They actually were, Nerdy Ogre. They recast her for a redhead because people frickin' lost their shit. Also, because of the whole origin of Red Sonja, they didn't want to push that stereotype, a very negative stereotype. Yep. As often as I say, modernism kills art, entertainment, and writing. Here's the thing, OH. Female befriends or female friends and all that, let me clarify for you. It's a self-insert for these narcissists. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We'll see. She-Ra. They're going to make it like She-Ra. Most likely. If she's attacking the source material, I'm going to have to literally cite Clownfish TV when they got targeted for questioning about bashing the fake She-Ra. There you go. So, yeah, as for me, I personally have no interest in Red Sonja. I mean, I like the old movie. Great movie. I mean, movies back then just had that edge, that excitement, that allure. Because back then, women were women and understood that they were different than men in certain areas. They didn't try to be men. They didn't try to say that men are incapable of doing this, men are incapable of doing that, men are trash, men can't please a woman, and all that sort of stupid shit. They didn't seek to objectify men either. They didn't seek to do the whole two wrongs make a right thing like Hollywood tends to do nowadays. But getting to this next topic, folks, and my God, it is absolutely ridiculous. SJWs are freaking out over Shogun's lack of diversity. Now, for those of you who don't know, Shogun is a show on FX. It is a kind of a reboot of an older version of it. And there's this article that I saw. And shout out to Altiori, because I saw this from her, and it's like, you gotta be kidding me. So, yeah, apparently there are some people out there who can't handle the fact that a show about feudal Japan has just Japanese people in it and one white guy. They can't handle the fact that there's no other ethnicity in the show, because that's all they care for. You see, they don't care about historically accurate or historical accuracy. They don't care about respecting a culture. No. They don't care about that. They only care about where are the black people. So let's get into this. This is from Microsoft or MSN. Where are the black people in Shogun? Story by William Spivey. It's 1 week old. The 2024 version of Shogun begins in 1600, as did the 1980s version, both based on the novel by James Clavell. I watched the 1980 version when it came out, hailed by many as a cinematic wonder, providing great insight into feudal Japan. It came out 3 years after Roots, and to many Americans, was their introduction to the history of Japan, though presented from a European viewpoint. 1980 Shogun, starring Richard Chamberlain, also reinforced the white savior trope. Oh, here we go! Far too common in film, television, and history books. The 2024 version focuses far more on the Japanese perspective. The white characters appearing in the first episodes, representing Portugal, Spain, England, Holland, could hardly be deemed heroic. However, the character John Blackthorne, now played by Cosmo Jarvis, is already a pivotal figure and will be a hero, along with several Japanese characters. Others are already praising the new 10-part series as a cultural sea change from the 1980 version. I ask the question now that I naively didn't ask back in 1980, where are the black people? They were in Africa, where the black people were from. Yeah, just thought I'd point that out. I don't ask out of a desire to see representation, bullshit, when it wasn't historically accurate. Well, you're right, it wasn't. But your sentence there is a lie. I inquire because there were black people in Japan in 1600. And before, though Japan could teach Florida a thing or two about rewriting history. Oh, gotta throw in that, do you? So, according to multiple sources, one of the early real-life shoguns, Saganu no Tamara, I'm going to butcher this name, I'm sorry. Tamaramuro was black, though denied by others. Was he? There's a consensus he was something rather than pure Japanese. And he is often considered descended from the Ainu, the darker-skinned indigenous people of northern Japan, who were subjected and forced assimilation and colonization. So, historian Mark Hyman described a statue in honor of that shogun in his book. As seen in the temple where he was honored, Maro's statue was taller than his fellow contributors. His hair was curly and tight. His eyes were large and wide set and brown. His nostrils were flared. His forehead wider. His jaws thick and slightly protruded. Going with the whole black samurai thing. The statue of this guy and Kiyomizudera is normally close to the public. Since its construction in 778, Kiyomizudera has been plagued by numerous fires and rebuilt several times. The current statue has none of the, folks, do not get offended by me saying this, Negroid features described by Hyman. Many researchers have documented that suggestions of the existence of Africans in Japan. One dating back to 22,000 years near Osaka, where much of the Shogun series took place. 22,000 years. Back during the caveman era. And even before that, before actual upright humans were even walking around. Huh. The problem, or the probable number of, this is, I'm quoting from this, folks, fuck this. I'm quoting from this article. So if you are going to come after me for saying improper words, this is from the article right here. The probable number of Negroes who reached the shores of Asia may be estimated somewhat by the wide area over which they were found on that continent, said Louis Milieu Jones. Historians tell us that at one time, Negroes were found in all of the countries of southern Asia, bordering on the Indian Ocean and along the east coast as far as Japan. There are many interesting stories told by those who reached the distant land, which at the time they called Cipango. One of the most prominent characters in Japanese history was a Negro warrior called Sakanui Tamura Maro. Whether or not Sakanui no Tamamaro was black won't be resolved here, but the existence of black people in Japan in the period Shogun depicts is not in doubt. Black slaves and crew members accompanied by the Dutch, Spanish, Portuguese, French ships, while British ships didn't typically have black sailors until after 1800. The ship sailed by John Blackthorne was a Dutch vessel which often used black sailors in 1600. Blackthorne's character was based on a real-life William Adams who landed in Japan in 1600 on his ship Delefte, sailing under Holland's flag. A group of Rotterdam merchants that predated the Dutch Eastern India's Company commissioned 5 ships in the expedition. He goes on in this historical stuff. So, yeah. Basically, he's saying that black people existed in Japan in 1600. Except, here's the thing. Culturally, Japan was very isolationist. They did not like outsiders in their areas. In fact, you actually see that in this show. Not to mention, a Japanese historian who is also an actor in the movie. His name is Hiroyuki Sanada. He is one of the absolute people you go to when you want to do accurate Japanese representation in a film. When it came to movies like 47 Ronin with Keanu Reeves, they went to Hiroyuki Sanada to make sure that they had as accurate depictions as they could. The Last Samurai, they went to Hiroyuki Sanada. When it came to the look of Scorpion in Mortal Kombat 2021, as bad as that movie was, Hiroyuki Sanada played Scorpion and also made sure that they followed as much close to the accurate depictions back then as possible. So he wanted to ensure that that history was not disrespected in the show. And when it comes to black people being in Japan at the time, they were in an entirely different area that is portrayed in the show. Now, I have not seen the show. However, I do plan on watching it once more episodes come out, and then I can do a binge. I do greatly respect Hiroyuki Sanada's involvement and his talent. He does a wonderful job. He ensures that people respect the Japanese culture. In fact, when they asked him to come on to the show, he told them, "You are going to respect the Japanese culture, or I will have nothing to do with the show." And when he said, "You will respect our culture," he meant it. You don't ask Hiroyuki Sanada to join your movie to bring in, or just to bring in a small bit of representation, unless you are going to respect it to the nth degree and beyond. Hiroyuki Sanada is respected because of that. And not only that, but Hulu does not want to piss off an entire country that is Japan. Considering how Japan is one of the greater nations, no matter how small the country is, it has a remarkable history and a very honorable people and a very well organized people. If you look at how well people in Japan are compared to the US, we're slobs. Where the people in Japan are a lot more cultured, they're a lot more disciplined, and well more respected. So let's get into these this bit here in the chat. There we go. Hold on 1 second, folks. There we go. So let's see what everybody's saying here. If she was, nope, that was already said. Altiori has some great material on her channel. Someone told me that there was only one black man in Japan, or back in Japan historically. I wouldn't know. I wasn't in Japan in 1600. Then again, SJWs hate history, culture, historical accuracy, etc. Yes, they do. They hate it so much that they try to rewrite it every day. These narcissistic liberals prove that they failed English and history. Yep, they did. Well, Orange Hat. Hey, F. Norris. Good to see you. Listening from work. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Howdy, Norris, and yada yada. So that is all of the topics, folks. However, I do feel that these topics are important. That's why I chose them. And the fact that identity politics continues to rear its ugly head in Hollywood, or hiring people based on their race, their gender, their sexuality, and not on their talent. Hold on 1 second. Apparently, yes, there's water running in the background, folks. I can't do anything about that. But yes, there's identity politics. It is. I still will always maintain what I say or said about identity politics way on early in this channel's history. It is no better than the slave trade, where people were put on pedestals due to their race, their identifiers, their ethnicities, and people threw money at them in order to buy them, purchase them for entertainment and other reasons. And that is exactly what they are doing here. When it comes to, well, we need to put more black people in movies and this and that. So you want them in the movie because they're black. Not because they can act, but because they're black. How is that no different from slave trades way back then? When they were when people were being sold as property for entertainment purposes or for work purposes. How is that any different? You are putting these people up on a pedestal and saying they need to be in the movie because of their identifiers and they need to work. So yeah, I will always maintain that when it's brought down to brass tacks, or brass tacks, or whatever the term is, that is basically it. Identity politics is one of the most racist practices in humanity. And the best way to defeat racism, I believe, is how Morgan Freeman said to defeat racism. Quit talking about it. Stop looking at people by their race and start looking at them through their merit, their actions, and their virtues. Me, I was raised on the doctrine of Martin Luther King to judge people not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. If a person comes up to me and says, "You hate me because I'm black," bitch, please, I didn't even know you until you walked up to me. A lot of people have done the whole black stereotype arguments with me, where I actually fit a lot of the black stereotypes myself, my own personal history. I have experienced racism where there are some black people who believe that racism or black people cannot perpetuate racism or commit racism because white people are the only racists out there. Bullshit. It is an absolute travesty that these sort of ideals have been pushed upon populations. However, there is some light on the horizon. The rest of the world is stepping back from this extreme push for diversity, equity, and inclusion. They are actually realizing that this disgusting practice is more devastating to children and to future generations, and therefore they are moving against it and trying to outlaw a lot of the practices. So yes, I do find that is, or I wish that the U.S. would actually catch up to what countries in Europe are doing and all over the world. Anyway, folks, that is going to be the stream. Thank you to all who tuned in. Neozoic, Geek Detective Pierce, Fuck Norris, Vanya, and Nerdy Ogre, and others. I do believe you all are freaking awesome people. Remember, Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard is going to be Clash of the Titans versus Wrath of the Titans. I will be on the Barroom Podcast Tuesday night. Wednesday night, I will be on Jade Shadow's channel at 8 p.m. talking Leprechaun 2. And then we will be discussing 47 Ronin Thursday night on my channel at 8 p.m. Friday night will be Orange Hat Uncensored. And then next week, Sunday night, 8 p.m., I will be discussing the 17th episode of Weekly Recap and more insanity and good stuff going on in Hollywood. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all are freaking amazing and beautiful people. This has been Orange Hat. Take care, and always remember to stay humble.